Well, not much new, actually. Now, if you want to dig out the new product, you've got to find the specialists. King of the British specialists these days is TVR, and they've chosen the show to launch their new Cerbera. In many ways, it's the same old recipe. Huge V8 engine at the front, a light plastic body, and exhausts like Matrix Churchill superguns. But this, like no TVR for 8 years, is a hardtop coupe. You get in like so, and I just love that, and then you're presented with seats in the back for a brace of sprogs. You can even have power steering, so this then is a family car. At this rate, the next TVR will be a people carrier.
Back to reality and the sort of wheels mere mortals have to drive. This is the Fiat Punto, probably the most important new car at the show, not least because more than 500,000 of them will be built every year. Fiat says it doesn't replace the Uno, it fits in their range somewhere just above it. Well, wherever it fits in, I think it's a very stylish car for which we have to thank Ital Design, who also came up with the novel idea of these tower rear lights. Although I rather like the one without those lights, the convertible. And convertibles do seem to be all the rage this year. The Punto's strong on safety, with the body designed to spread the load whichever angle the cars hit from. Another novelty is that some Puntos have a 6-speed gearbox. It's a relatively high car, which means there's quite a lot of room for people inside. And this should be quite comfortable too, because Fiat have hired the services of none other than the ergonomics department of Loughborough University to make sure that it fits the average European and not just the average Italian.
In 1969, at the London Motor Show, Ford launched a new car called Capri. Went down very well in Britain, and by the mid-80s they'd sold well over 1 million examples. But by 1987, Ford decided the coupe market wasn't worth bothering with, and they axed Capri. By 1989, the market had turned round, and Ford's been running hard to catch up ever since. This is the long-awaited Probe. It comes with a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine and a 2.5-litre V6. It's based on a Mazda design, and it's built in America. The first American-built Ford to be sold in the UK since the Model T. So the Probe is set to challenge the Japanese strength in the coupe market. Meanwhile, Toyota are extending their penetration of the luxury car market, as Quentin Wilson has been finding out.
The legendary Lexus LS400 rewrote the luxury car rulebook and caused the odd bitten fingernail in Bavaria and Stuttgart. In America, the 400 is reckoned the next best thing to Emma Thompson. But if it can be faulted, it's perhaps too luxurious a luxury car, too insulating to seduce a younger audience, not to mention that £40,000 price tag. So Toyota have grabbed a market niche and added another model to complement this, their best seller. Trouble is, it's up against some stiff competition in the form of the BMW 530 and Mercedes 300.
But with the 3-litre 6-pot lump out of the new Toyota Supra, traction control, all-round double wishbone suspension and rear-wheel drive, it comes with impeccable credentials. Here it is then, Act 2, the GS 300.
Yet what we thought might turn out to be a pint-sized compact seems to have put on weight. It's only 5 inches shorter and an inch slimmer than its statelier brother. No downsizing going on here. With a theoretical maximum speed of over twice the legal limit, this new Lexus is certainly no shy retiring type. But it's not an engine that offers much in the way of sensory delectation. It growls rather than purrs, and after the rather monastic silence of the 400, it sings a disappointing song.
From where I'm standing, this is no lantern-jawed matinee idol. You couldn't call it a pretty car. Hardly surprising, since the sales brochure tells us that the GS300 is styled not by wind or water, but by the all-seeing electronic eye of a computer. Pity that, and a very damning criticism for a car targeted at aspirant, image-conscious buyers. Inside, only rear seat passengers are likely to grumble because that disappearing roofline robs them of valuable headroom. But up front, it's almost as commodious as its bigger brother, the LS400. The boot, on the other hand, is surprisingly pokey.
A meagre 13 cubic foot, that's a third less than in a Rover Sterling. The palatial accommodation wants for nothing with his and her airbags and a raft of standard kit which, if specified on the equivalent BMW or Mercedes, would instantly double its price. On the GS 300, the toys are free. Drivers shouldn't be allowed out on the road until they've unravelled the arcane secrets of the stereo and air con, and no one is likely to favour the silly American-style foot-operated handbrake. The smooth-running 24-valve engine lacks both low-end grunt and top-end heave. A BMW 530 is considerably quicker and more entertaining.
The ride quality is disappointing. On anything less than billiard-smooth surfaces, the car starts to fidget, and the sensation is worsened by quite a bit of road racket thrown up from Mr. Yokohama's rubber. There's a touch too much body roll too, and on fast corners you find yourself dodging the flying crockery.
But look here, let's not carp. At around 30,000, this new Lexus is good value. It comes with a 3-year blue-chip warranty and every imaginable extra. All it lacks is the soul of a Jaguar and the spirit of a BMW.
Mazda, on the other hand, has had some success at tackling BMW, albeit the 3 Series, with their elegant and distinctive Xedos 6. But now they're going after the 5 Series with this, the Xedos 9. To give it a European look, it was designed in Germany by 2 British people, and I have to say, it's not a bad effort. It doesn't have quite the same appeal as its little brother, but it's better just than the usual Japanese snoozemobile. Inside, well, it's another nice piece of design, and you get all the usual executive toys: twin airbags, air conditioning, cruise control, and an automatic gearbox that looks like it came out of the space shuttle. Mind you, you don't get leather upholstery, which is odd in a car costing £23,000. Under the bonnet, there's the same 2.5-litre V6 engine that you get in the Ford Probe and the Ford Mondeo. Remember, Ford owns 25% of Mazda. This engine is also in the MX-6, but in the Xedos 9, it develops 169 brake horsepower. This car, then, is a bit of a hybrid, but remember, some of my favourite dogs are mongrels.
Buying the gleaming metal at the show is easy enough. You just open your wallet, but hanging on to it when it hits the mean streets is quite another thing. Now the insurance companies, through their own research centre at Thatcham, are starting to approve specific devices. Now this is one of the first, the barrier deadlock system. It's a variation on a well-established old theme, a mechanical device to stop your car being stolen. Put it in reverse, insert the lock, and the car is jammed in reverse and in theory can't be stolen. Now they say it can't be drilled, picked or slide hammered, and the key has 5.5 million combinations, so you won't get a duplicate. Now on the electronics front, there are problems with some remote control locking systems. Now that guy thinks he's locked his car, but using this grabber device that you can get hold of, I've intercepted his signal and I can unlock it. Now that's a problem you won't get with this system, Cyclops. The idea is that the key fob has no battery or transmitter. The car talks to the key fob, and if it decides you are the rightful owner, it switches off the alarm and immobilizer, and you can drive it. Now the system's fitted as standard to all Marcuses. This is the Mantara, a brutally quick British muscle car. Jeremy, of course, prefers the American opposition.
This rolling thunderstorm is the Viper GTS, a 165-mile-an-hour 8-litre V10 coupe which stands as the ultimate automotive V-side. It's based on the Viper Roadster, a wonderful car, but one that's always going to be handicapped in places where it rains. You see, it has no roof. This does, of course, but before you all reach for your checkbooks, be warned. At the moment, it's merely a concept car. If there's enough interest, then it will go into production, priced at around £60,000. For that, you get enough noise to shatter the lens in your sunglasses, a usable boot, and no back seat. At the moment, though, it's only a dream car, unless you're an environmentalist, in which case it's a nightmare. Its big rival, however, the Corvette, is neither. It's reality, and for the first time ever, it's sensible too. Notice that? The steering wheel is where it belongs, on the right. This costs £47,000 to include a 300 horsepower, 5.7-litre V8 and the ability to really kick bottom, to use the American vernacular. If you like to kick even harder, there's the 375 brake horsepower ZR1, which can rattle along at 180 miles an hour. Trouble is, it costs £75,000. Both get CD players, twin airbags, adjustable suspension, electric seats, lift-up roof panels. The list is so long, I wouldn't have finished in time for next year's show. So I'll stop right there. And talking of things taking a long time, this AC Ace was first shown at a motor show 7 years ago, yet only now is it going into production. With a 5-litre V8 engine, an aluminium body and trad wood and leather interior, it's aimed at the Mercedes SL. However, because it comes from a specialist British manufacturer, most people will compare it to that out-and-out sports car, the TVR Griffith. Now, you could argue that it's a nice compromise, but similarly, you could argue that it falls between two stools. It's not as refined or as clever as the Mercedes-Benz, and it doesn't bark and shout and invigorate like a TVR Griffith. It also costs a staggering £50,000, which for a car with an old-fashioned Ford Mustang engine is just too much.
This is the car that AC is aiming at. It's an ambitious target for a tiny British company, challenging one of the most accomplished pieces of automobile engineering ever made. It's supposed to be one of the most desirable cars for lady drivers, and last year it attracted the attention of one very famous lady driver. The Princess of Wales was strongly criticised for choosing a German car for her personal transport when it was claimed she should have been driving a British Jaguar XJS. The problem is, of course, that the Jaguar is now 18 years old, somewhat long in the tooth compared with the Mercedes that only appeared in 1989, and immediately made the Jaguar look, well, somewhat old-fashioned. Mind you, the convertible's only been out for about 5 years, and it has been designed for easy handling, and it really couldn't be simpler, even if you're on your own. Here's the proof. Both handles released, one press of the switch, the whole operation quick enough to make the most of our elusive autumn sunshine. But the car does rather show its age, because the hood doesn't disappear under a cover like on the Mercedes. You can tidy it up with a cover, and it really is worth doing because it does look so much prettier, but it is a bit fiddly. So I'm going to resort to a bit of magic. If only I could do it so simply and easily. Now, it's said the real reason the Princess of Wales bought the Mercedes was because it had 2 seats in the back here and the Jaguar didn't. Well, that's been sorted out now. But to find out just how effective they are, I need a bit of help. Well, rather surprisingly, I couldn't persuade William and Harry to come and try out the Jaguar, so we enlisted the help of a couple of young friends. Tavy and Lucy are the same ages as the royal princes, and so they're roughly the same size and ideally suited to test the new rear seats and the legroom in the back. So leaving the front seat empty for the royal bodyguard, as you do, we set off for a short trip to the riding stables and roller disco. It's rumoured that when Princess Diana made her controversial decision, the new Jaguar chairman, Nick Shaler, was so affronted, he brushed aside all the excuses from his engineers and insisted that the XJS convertible should sprout 2 rear seats. Now the flagship V12 Grand Tourer can waft a conventional family of four around in superb style. So, Lucy, how comfortable is it back there?
It's very comfortable, thank you.
You got enough room?
Yeah.
Not too bad. Now, Tavy, doesn't look quite so good for you somehow.
No, it isn't. It certainly wouldn't be very comfortable on a long journey, especially if I was sitting behind someone like Daddy, who's got very long legs.
But nevertheless, it is an improvement, although no one could pretend that it's a full four-seater. Now, Princess Diana has sold the Mercedes and is trying out a Rover 600. But something she might like to consider. If she paid just £3,500 more than a new Merc would cost, she could keep the Rover and buy the Jaguar XJS. Now, that's what I call a good deal, if only I could afford it.
Tell you what you can afford, Michelle, and that's one of these. There's been a huge growth just recently in the sales of cheap off-roaders, and now everybody is jumping on the bandwagon, including a whole lot of companies we've never even heard of before. This one comes from the massively famous Asia Motors outfit of Korea, and it's called the Rockstar. Mind you, it's Rockstar by name, but Pericomo by nature, because under the bonnet you have a choice of either a 1.8 litre petrol or a 2.2 litre diesel. You also get a fairly ropey interior, but as it costs less than £11,000, maybe we shouldn't complain. Will it sell? No. This, on the other hand, might. It too comes from a little-known Korean manufacturer, Kia, and it's the four-wheel drive Sportage. Has a 2-litre engine, 5 doors, though there are different models coming later. Lotus suspension, and I can see it doing very, very well as a school-run transporter, particularly as when it's launched in about 15 months' time, it's going to cost less than a Ford Maverick. Not bad. Vauxhall has responded to this Asian challenge by chopping the top off its Japanese-designed Frontera Sport. The end result will go on sale in the spring of next year, wearing roughly the same price tag as its hardtop brother, about £13,500. But this is not the only new convertible at the show, as Michelle has been finding out.
If you want a proper convertible, but you can't run to an XJS, then you can't do much better than a BMW. It's a full four-seater with invigorating performance, and if the saloon is anything to go by, it's great to drive. It's jolly pretty, and it's got a fully automated hood which fits beneath this plush and tidy cover. To my mind, even